Can you imagine going 49 mid in a jammer?
I'm glad I'm not swimming anymore.
That's all right. The concept
but
of 17.
In track and field, it was impossible to run 10 seconds until the first guy did it.
That's right.
When the first guy did it, then there were a couple of more. And again, there are some barriers that are just not possible. And with Caleb Dressel, there's always going to be one guy that's that generational or once in every 5 generations swimmers, just like Phelps was. I don't think Dressel's able to produce as many Olympic medals as Phelps, but that guy is special. That guy is just special. I mean, I spoke to Greg Troy at the Des Moines Pro Series meet right before they shut everything down, and I said, what are you doing with this guy? He's like, well, last week we did 24 50s all out on 2 minutes. I was like, oh, that guy. And it doesn't sound that bad. It's on 2 minutes until you.
It's horrible. Horrible.
That sounds brutal.
And he's good at the skins in ISL. That's why he wins the skins, no problem. He does 3 on 3 minutes. He's fine.
I recently started reading, diving into the biology of swimming book. I wanna better understand muscles and lactic acid, and I would love to have a reading of just Dressel's lactic production and how fast. Just man,
Have you read one? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't. Greg Troy and that Spartan model they have going at Florida, like they. I remember asking around, like, what is it that Florida is selling these kids, and they're looking, they're looking for Spartan like swimmers. It's like, they literally, from what I heard, Nesty, and I would love to ask Nesty. It's like, but from what one of these recruits told me that Nesty asked him, and the recruit asked him, like, what are you guys looking for? And he's like, Nesty replied, I'm looking for a badass. It's like, well, what's a badass? It's like, I'm looking for a badass. A badass is a badass, and if you're a badass, you're a badass, and you don't need to define it with with things like you just know it, and I would love to know just those lactate readings, how fast he recovers and how he's able to do it, especially at his age. Like, it's just, I'm gonna throw up right now just thinking about it.
I don't understand it. I remember 2008 Worlds, and I was on that team, or Short Course Worlds, with Lochte, and so Troy was on that staff, and he was having me do warm downs 2050s on 45 short course meters, and I'm like, man, I'm not going to clear lactate doing this. and I certainly didn't, but it also gave me a perspective on what that's like. But with Caleb, it seems like an anomaly, right? And so to swim in that program, and to be doing those types of things, I would love. I'm on the same board. I'd love to know the lactate readings, because it makes me think that he's that fast and able to clear really quickly too, and maybe not even peak and produce like an elite sprinter would typically produce. Like Nathan's the other end of the spectrum, right? He's producing a lot.
Guys, and you should know. I mean, anybody listening, like, Caleb Dressel, people of that caliber, all out is all out. They don't go like 93% on no, they go for it because there is a mission, there is a goal, and the goal needs to be met. Like, it's I just think about a cat or a tiger. They have to, every single attack has to be perfect. You go for the jugular. If you grab the leg or you grab any part of the body, that meal may run away. Everything has to be precise, and every single set, every single thing you do has to have its why. So whatever Greg Troy is selling, like, I want to hear him. I wish to hear him coach and just to see that energy. I mean, there are some coaches that could sell a set like that, but I do know that people at that caliber and that level, they don't save up. They go for it. And if 9 he was throwing up and he said, Greg, I can't do it, Greg would believe him. And that's how hardcore it is at that level. You don't take shortcuts, you do it.
Well, all I know is I've talked to the Florida strength coaches and all that about Caleb, and they're like, yeah, he outlives our track athletes. and no one does that on the swimming side. Like no swimmers are even close about that. So that when he told me that, I was like, wow, that's an interesting perspective about how he is physiologically, because I think you guys can relate to that physiologically. How you go in after the weight session for the swim team, and there's the track team or the basketball team, and it's like, all right, you guys, yeah, go get your barbells and you can go do that. But being able to outperform them in the weight room is a whole nother perspective.
I just think he didn't meet PK at Auburn. I don't know if that guy's still there.
Oh, PK.
I heard that guy was a psychopath in the right way.
So my freshman year, we did this. In those days, Auburn was doing something called circuit. It was just a big team building exercise. But we're outside of the probably realm of influence of the NCAA. We had workouts that would go for 5 hours on a Saturday, and but the end of the dryland season in the fall would be this day called Big Dog Day, and it was just our way of calling and PK's way of calling. The day that he was going to give everybody hell. And especially early in your career, you feared that. And the upperclassmen actually perpetuated the fear, which I don't know if that was a good thing or bad. But PK released a list of the stations that we were going to do in this weight circuit and dryland circuit in advance of the workout. And so we were freaking out on Friday because there were a series of exercises on there that we had never seen before. And part of the deal, it was military style. You needed to know exactly where you were going to be and be there on command, or else everybody was going to get punished. It was kind of that.
On 15 off?
Usually 45 to a minute on, 15 off. And so we would do
closed windows, blacked out windows, so the air is heavy, it's hot.
Oh yeah. And I mean, honestly, is there anything worse than working out in a gym that doesn't smell like sweat? Like it makes you want to work out hard if you're in a dingy gym. But we had a common station throughout the season that was towel hang. So you throw a small like hand towel size over the pull-up bar, and you hold your chin above the bar. But later in the workout, that's kind of tough to do for 45 seconds to a minute if you're 3 hours in. But at the end of the season, we did one. He had one on the list called noose hang. And so what we understood that to be was that there was going to be a noose that you would put your neck through on towel hang, and then you had to hold the towel with your chin above the bar. And the penalty, though, was if you lost your chin above the bar, that your neck would be in a noose. And I remember calling my mom, freaking out. I can't believe this is actually going to happen.
And for those that don't know, this was banned. Like, you can't do this anymore. Borderline child abuse for those that,
But you know what? I think that was, you talk about like Florida wanting badasses, and to be honest, they're the dominant, preeminent program in the SEC today. And that's what Auburn was in those days. And I think that sort of mentality that you would take into college swimming was that you want to be, galvanized so much that you don't fear anything, and I think that's a powerful thing to be able to do, whether that's Dressel doing 2450s on 2 minutes and not fearing number 18 because he was throwing up, on number 17. Right. And I think that there's a lot of value in that as an athlete, is to be able to go, you know what, I'm going to be okay. And after this workout, I'm still going to be living and breathing, and I'm going to have a meal waiting for me. But you know what? Like this effort isn't going to kill me, so I'm going to give it everything that I got.
I regret not being a part of that. I do recognize just the mental process and how much tougher everybody was just getting out of it. Having coached at LSU, I know how warm it gets down there in the South. I just wondered what time of the year did you guys do that? Because that would be pretty miserable if it was in the hot time.
It wasn't in the hot time. It was in the fall. It was always fall. And it was thankfully, not having to do high volume swimming in the fall like a lot of programs are doing, but we were just doing it in a different way.